Do narcissistic mothers, especially single mothers, accidentally raise children who are more likely to be criminals? We delve into the psychological dynamics at play in families where narcissistic mothers, especially the malevolent kinds, are present. And let's examine the potential long term effects on their children. Children of such mothers, they potentially develop antisocial behavior to criminal tendencies. We as society need to ask such tough questions and seek answers. Today, let's explore the possible link between narcissistic parenting, especially single mothers, and the development of antisocial tendencies in their children. From emotional manipulation to lack of empathy, we will delve into the characteristics of how such mothers they control and dominate the outcomes and influence their children's behavior, personality, and future. Join me today in this video as I examine the complex relationship between parenting styles and the formation of criminal minds. We will explore the reasons why such mothers might raise hardcore criminals. It's a touchy and tough subject. We should explore these and understand as wider society. We might be able to help some children at a young age from such gilded golden traps of parenting. Is it possible that the very person, mother, who is supposed to nurture and protect us as children, could actually be creating the perfect storm for criminal behavior? Watch our video till the end to find out. And welcome on a journey of excellence with Wow, Wisdom of Wise Dragon. A mother's love is meant to be a sanctuary, a place of safety and unconditional acceptance. But what happens when that same sanctuary becomes a prison? What if a mother's needs completely overshadows her child's and her motherly love becomes a tool of control? It's a very complicated and uncomfortable question for us as a society. But we need to go there. Because for some, the path from being a son to becoming a criminal starts in that one place where they should have been the safest, their own home, the arms of their mother. Now, let's be clear. Criminal behavior is incredibly complex. It's a tangled web of combination of genetics, social environment, personal choices, habits, and much more. There is no single recipe for disaster. Generally, it is a known near perfect concoction of all these factors that have led people to become examples like Bundy, Dahmer, Gacy, BTK, just a few examples I quote. Today, while we are exploring one deeply unsettling thread in that web, the profound psychological damage that can happen under the influence of a narcissistic parent. Studies have repeatedly shown that childhood abuse, trauma, and environment are significant risk factors that make children become adult criminals. We'll see how, in some tragic cases, this specific type of emotional abuse can forge vulnerabilities that lead a son down a destructive path. A little further in this video, I will tell you a story of a young man named Kamil. Narcissistic mothers can have a profound impact on their child's development, shaping their worldview and behavior in lasting ways. This dynamic can be particularly damning and damaging, leading to a range of negative outcomes, including an increased risk of low self-esteem, suppressed rage, and complex unattended emotions that pile up and pent up in their minds that will burst at one point in time in their life and will encourage them to walk on the path of criminal behavior. The relationship between a narcissistic mother and her child is complex, with deep emotional wounds that can affect a child's ability to form healthy relationships, to build excellent personality, or to make positive life choices. The core issue with the narcissistic parenting is that they tend to create an environment at home of emotional abuse, emotional neglect, guilt traps, entitlement, and control over their child. Children of narcissistic mothers, they often feel that they are constantly walking on eggshells around their parent, never knowing what will trigger her anger, her emotional outbursts, or her disappointments. Everything in that family, it revolves around her issues, the mother's emotions, her lack of ability to have stable emotions or to take responsibility as a adult parent. Such mothers, they tend to create bad habits in their children because they themselves do not have any good habits, and they tend to encourage similar bad patterns of habits in their children. These children, they start normalizing bad behaviors, they start normalizing criminal decisions, they start following the footpaths of their mother's normalized sense of bad behavior. Such mothers, they subject their children to guilt trips and constant reminders of the hardships that she endures for him. These mothers will constantly make the child know that he is the reason that she is suffering, or he is the reason why she has to sacrifice so much in her life. And they steal the ability of the child to form their own individuality or personality. Such mothers, they never allow their children to do what is not in alignment with what she wants them to do. The lack of empathy. Such mothers can show the lack of empathy to their children. As a result, the children, they learn the same pattern in their lives, and then they will start having lack of empathy for others. And remember, if such mothers have criminal tendencies or are pathological liars, these mothers normalize such behaviors for their children, which makes their children to become part of this larger scheme of criminal behavior. As these children grow and develop, they might engage in behaviors that are exploitative or that have very disregard for the consequences of their behavior and choices. You will notice such children, they do not have many friend circle or show tendencies of antisocial behaviors. They will start showing issues of, having fights or issues within their school environment. They will show very poor performance in their education and so many other things that are considered as not normal in a child's life. Some of the most striking examples of this dynamic can be seen in the lives of individuals who have gone and grown up to commit serious crimes in their lives. Research has shown that many of these individuals have history of childhood trauma, neglect, some sort of abuse. It could be physical, verbal, and also sometimes sexual abuse. These experiences can shape a child's overview of world and behavior, leading them down the path of destructive choices. Let's take the example of Kamil. On the surface, his childhood was very similar to many households. His parents, they divorced when he was a few years old, and his mom, Shamina, she took over 100% of her son's responsibility, giving very little opportunity for his biological father to be involved in his life. This was mistake number one. Remember, male children, they have an inherent need to have a father or another male figure in their life who is like a father to guide them, to mentor them, and they start having these needs starting around the ages of 8 or 10. Lack of this good dependable male in a male child's life is very detrimental to their normal growth as an individual. There are multiple studies and researches that show a son of a single mother with no presence of a strong male bond like a father or a grandfather or uncle or a dependable stepfather has shown that such children they grow up with lack of self-esteem and many other underlying mental health conditions. In Kamil's case, his mother Shamina was a woman who had the gift of gab. Some found her as a strong personality and charismatic and seemingly very deeply involved in the life of her son. To the outside world, she portrayed the picture of a devoted mom, a loving mom, always doting on Kamil in front of others or trying to show that she cared a lot about him. But behind closed doors, it was a completely different story. This wasn't love, it was ownership. Shamira's lack of emotional stability, lack of emotional intelligence, and her constant outbursts of anger put a lot of pressure on this little child's mind as he had to grow up sooner than when he should have, by which he lost out a lot of his childhood. I call this cage a golden gilded cage of mother, where the child is trapped since he's born. Worse will be the situation if more siblings are born to such mothers. Then the pressure is added on the older child to become a pseudo parent for his siblings. Kamil not only lost his childhood, but he also lost his ability to become a full fledged individual as a man of his making. This is a tragedy, and that has been seen in many in the society. And such children, due to their such upbringing, will lean towards criminal tendencies. And if the mother is engaged in criminal activities that the child is watching growing up, he gets normalized to such behavior and patterns of life. And inadvertently, the mother will pull the child into her criminal activities, passively or actively engaging him into such activities without giving a single thought for the outcomes on the child's future. Such mothers, they do not care. Narcissistic mothers, especially the malevolent ones, they often don't see their children as a separate human being, but they look at their children as extensions of themselves. The children's main purpose is to serve the mother's needs, her emotional needs, her comforts, her financial needs, and all her other needs. In the psychological world, we call it the narcissistic supply. For Kamil, this meant that his needs, his successes, his little requirements always took a back seat. She showed him affection, conditional affection and love, which becomes addictive in the long run and damaging. As Kamil started to grow, he frequently experienced that he seems to fail to meet the constant shifting expectations of his mother. If he dared to express an opinion of his own, suddenly the warmth of his mother would vanish. It was replaced with cold disapproval, sharp criticism, manipulative guilt tripping, or gaslighting events. He would be told that he is too sensitive, or too selfish, or too ungrateful, or that he was always constantly seeking attention. This cyclical cycle of sometimes being put on a pedestal for a moment and then toned down the next creates rippling instability. Kamil learns early that his mother's love has to be earned on her terms. His own feelings didn't matter. He never realizes that he's living in a gilded golden cage where every material need was met, but the most important one, the need to be seen and loved by his mother, he was starved out of it. In many such similar cases, the turning point for such children comes when they are faced with a major crisis or stress in their life. It could be as issue in their school or high school or college, or maybe a break in their education, or maybe there was a loss of financial stability or health issue. And when such uncopable stressors happen, it turns that they will not be able to handle in a productive way. They turn to more destructive or criminal behavior to cope with it. This can lead to deep-seated sense of insecurity and low self-esteem, which can be powerful predictor for future behavioral problems. And you will notice these children, they are not able to establish any healthy relationships outside of their home. They do not have friends or circles of adults or guides or mentors in their lives who can help them come out of this, because their narcissistic mother will never allow such individuals into the inner circle of her child. Narcissistic mothers are masters of manipulation. They relentlessly and shamelessly use guilt, anger, shame, gaslighting to control their children. They make themselves emotionally unavailable, dismissive, cruel, sometimes abusive, leaving their children feeling unwanted and unvalidated. This can have an incredible damaging effect on the psyche of the children, where as children we yearn for a nurturing environment to develop healthy emotional regulations and a positive sense of self. When they're denied this, they struggle to form healthy relationships or make positive life choices. You will notice such children, they remain uneducated, unhealthy, financially unstable, and the mother constantly keeps them dependent on her some way or the other, and she always tries to keep them close to her, never letting them out of her nest. If you have experienced such a narcissistic upbringing, or you know of someone who has, please try to help them. Hear them out and ensure that they go and seek healthy counseling and they get protected from such narcissistic mothers. Let's go back and revisit Kamil's story. Around the age of his adolescence, his cage that the mother had created starts to feel smaller, starts to feel little bit congested, and starts to suffocate him. It is at this age generally that teenagers, they want to pull away from their parents to form their own identity. But for a child of a narcissistic mother, this often seems as a betrayal. What Shamira does when Kamil wants to move away from her, build his own little world, she tries to control him with more devious mechanisms. She will start interfering within his relationship between him and his friends. She will stop giving him any boundaries. She will make sure that she's able to have access to every social media or text that he's sending or communications that he's having with anybody else. And then if he's trying to distance himself away from her, she will start playing the victim card, the mother card. And then she will try to threaten him and play the guilt card and gaslight him out of the situation. You might wonder, why did Kamil rebel at that age? Why did he succumb to his mother's manipulations? What happens is, when such mothers are bringing up a child, they ensure to brainwash into their mind that if they go against her, he is committing the worst crime in his life by betraying his mother. The weight of the guilt trip is so heavy on that child that he's unable to break free from that trap. And then she will pressure him and she will ensure that he comes back under her wings of slavery. Such are the tactics of a narcissistic mother. Such mothers, they build a codependency between them and the child, such that the child is not able to break free from that codependency. She will constantly say, I only do it because I love you so much. I want the best for you. After everything that I have sacrificed, I have suffered for you. How can you do that to me? How can you say that to me? These are the classic gaslighting mechanisms. These kind of persistent psychological abuse has devastating impacts. Research shows that the children of such parents not only suffer from multiple kinds of mental health and physical health issues, but they have an inability to manage their emotions. Kamil was trapped since his birth. He couldn't trust his own feelings because he had been taught they were wrong. He was brainwashed. He was left to believe that what his mother did was the only right way in his life. Such children, they start to bottle up their emotions, their anger, their helplessness, their powerlessness, which starts to curdle at some point in time. He will start getting into issues at school or within his community or try to go inwards. He will stop communicating with people outside of the home and become more addicted to things like social media or gadgets or gaming, which isolate him from the society. Basically, such mothers, they brainwash their children. Such mothers, they become the child's handler. Remember, I told you, only circus monkeys or terrorists have handlers. Now, what will Kamil become? Will he become a monkey or a terrorist in the future? Let's find out. For many sons of narcissistic mothers, the breaking point comes with a serious bid of freedom, usually through some kind of a romantic relationship that they want to create when they are maybe in their late teens or early 20s. Such mothers, they ensure that their child will never be in a romantic relationship and always tries to break such relationships that come into their lives. Shamira has criminal tendencies. She has brainwashed Kamil such that she has made him believe that whatever she does is within the ethical boundaries and it is for their good. He becomes her accomplice in these crimes. Every time Kamil tries to build a relationship outside of his home, Shamira launches a campaign to destroy it. She makes passive aggressive comments, she invents lies, she will create drama to drive him apart from whoever that other person is, whether it's a friend or a romantic interest. She manipulates Kamil with guilt, with gaslighting, making him believe that any time he tries to spend away from her is a rejection of her. The pressure becomes so suffocating that Kamil gets torn between choosing himself ahead of his own mother's needs. Such children are psychologically wired by their mothers to constantly crave and cave under their pressures, and they will always crumble under her needs, her requirements, her control, and her ways. Losing healthy relationships and connections in their lives affects these kind of children for a long lasting time. Time for a quick break. Before we talk about the next section in this video and do some psychological analysis of what follows next, I would like to know if you have subscribed to our channel. If you have not subscribed, I would request that you please consider subscribing to our channel and hit the all notifications button. Our goal is to shed light on complex dynamics in our societies and to foster great understanding and healing of our social issues together and grow as a community together on this journey of excellence. One night, fueled by alcohol and drugs, Kamil was partying with his friends, and he and one of his friends, they get into a car racing event in a country that this is not allowed. And he gets into a bad accident wherein he critically injures an innocent person. Kamil faces serious criminal charges for this event, and with his mother's help, he escapes that country and runs away to another country where he cannot be incriminated for this crime. This is just the beginning of his criminal encounters with the law enforcement. The noose of justice starts tightening around Shamira for her various criminal activities in multiple countries. And guess what? As this noose tightens, she will take Kamil along with her for this ride because he has actively or passively participated in many of those criminal activities. Because of his mother's criminal and malevolent tendencies, Kamil continues to be unhealthy, uneducated, unemployed, and will potentially end up behind jail for many years to come. Such acts itself, they are impulsive and explosive, a hallmark for someone with severe emotional dysregulation. Kamil was not born criminal, he became a criminal because of multiple factors, a perfect concoction of events that led him into the arms of crime. Sometimes I wonder, is it worse to have an evil mother like this, or is it better to be an orphan? What kind of bad destiny a person has to have a mother like this? It's sad outcome for children of such mothers. A mother, she makes or breaks her child's life. Such is the power of motherhood, which most women in the world understand, nature, and nurture and fulfill this role with utmost responsibility, unconditional love, and affection. So, how can a mother's narcissism create such a tragic outcome? It is vital to say this again. Most children of such mothers do not become violent criminals. However, malevolent, narcissistic, criminal tendency mothers will have the outcome of a child becoming older, growing up with criminal tendencies and behaviors. A child who's constantly devalued may develop what psychologists call a narcissistic injury. This can leave them with a fragile ego, hypersensitive to a perceived insult, and have emotional instability, aggressive outbursts. There is an issue with empathy. These mothers, they have conditional empathy, or what I call as empathy that meets their requirements. While they are not able to show empathy in front of their children when they are growing up, the child learns the same patterns and they lose the ability to develop this crucial skill that is required to develop a good personality. The modeling of antisocial behavior, narcissistic individuals themselves often they disregard rules. For them, what they do is right, and they will manipulate others to any extent to meet their goals and objectives. When a child is seeing all this as they are growing up, they internalize these behaviors as a normal way and they normalize such behavior to navigate the world. Finally, the disruption of healthy attachment leads to create deep-seated trust issues. This can lead individuals to reject positive relationships and instead they seek validation from antisocial groups and peers where aggression is seen as strength. When you combine these psychological vulnerabilities with other factors such as potential substance abuse, abusive relationships, negative social influences, and potential outcome of violent nature increases dramatically. Kamil's story was a tragedy where he was not just a victim, but it was a total loss of a potential good life for him. It's a stark reminder of how emotional violence and, having a narcissistic, malevolent mother lays the groundwork for a person to grow up to become a criminal. The unmaking of this man didn't start on the night of the crime, but it began the moment he was born to this mother, where his self-worth was eroded bit by bit by the very person who was supposed to love and nurture and build him unconditionally. Childhood emotional abuse is powerful and destructive force, and studies confirm it can be a predictor for adult crimes. By understanding these dark psychological pathways, we can become more aware of the subtle signs of abuse, and hopefully we find ways to intervene and help such children before the damage is done. If you know of someone who has had these kind of experiences, or if you are a victim of such experiences, please share your thoughts in our comment section. Your comments and feedback is what I look forward to, and this is what helps me build my relationship with you, my community. Our goal is to build a community which will strongly advocate to make our respective societies and communities better. Sharing our stories with each other is a powerful step in building our relationship and to heal as a community and to help others who feel alone and lonely, and victims of such narcissistic mothers can seek out to us for help. Single mothers who are raising a son need to understand that they are doing everything potentially that they believe that they are doing to rear a decent ethical child. But psychologically and socially, a male child needs the guidance and mentoring from a dependable male figure in their life. Do not overlook this need of a child, whether it is from a grandfather, uncle, or a dependable stepfather. A male child needs the oversight of another dependable male to help them grow to become normal, fulfilling, all rounded personality as humans. And with this powerful thought, I bid you farewell. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.